Trade unions. This is another topic from People and Organizations, Section 2. So, a trade union is an association that safeguards the interests of workers. So, it comprises of a few appointment holders. These are people who are elected by the workforce. There is an electoral procedure involved. So, they select these people or elect these people, their colleagues, whose primary job would be to represent their fellow workers, their colleagues, and whenever there is, any sort of negotiation going on, or there's a bargaining procedure in which the workforce and the management is involved, this trade union, this body, this association will represent the workers, right? They will raise their voice on their behalf. So basically, trade union performs two major functions. One is called collective bargaining, the one that I just pointed out, that they're engaged in a negotiation or in a bargaining process through which they're able to address issues of a mutual interest. So, whenever there's a problem regarding, the wages, fringe benefits, working conditions, working hours, so on and so forth, this trade union, it will represent the workers, the fellow workers, and they will try to exert pressure, you can say, or they will try to negotiate with the management, trying to convince them that they should enforce labor-friendly laws. So, for instance, very simple example: if the directors they make an announcement that this year the increment in salary it's going to be 10%, the trade union, on behalf of their fellow workers, they will try and interact with the management, and they might demand something like 20%. So as a result of this collective bargaining, something like 15% possibly might be finalized, right? This is collective bargaining. Secondly, like I just mentioned, acting as a pressure group could be categorized another function, because we have to keep in mind that trade unions, they might operate on a small scale. For instance, a trade union might represent a single firm or a single business organization. For instance, if there's a textile mill, there could be a trade union that represents that textile mill only, right? But it can work on a larger scale also. There are industrial trade unions also, and they work on a larger scale because, of course, if it's an industrial trade union, it represents, all the firms in that particular industry. So in terms of membership, there could possibly a few 100,000 members of these industrial trade unions. So they can act as a formidable pressure group. They can pressurize not only the management of the respective firms, but even the government authorities. So, these trade unions, when they act like a pressure group, they can use pressure tactics such as strikes. They can just stop working, or possibly a go slow policy or something, a go slow policy in which apparently they're working, but they deliberately slow down the pace of the production process. So by using such pressure tactics, they're able to, send this message out to the government authorities that labor-friendly laws need to be enforced. So, they can hold a strike for we've seen this in the past, for issues revolving around the wage level, or maybe the tax rates, working conditions, medical facilities, so on and so forth. So the industrial trade unions, they can pressurize not only the management of their organizations, but even the government authorities. And we have seen in the past that under this pressure, the government might be convinced or forced into some sort of negotiation with this trade union. As a result of this, there might be some flexibility shown on their part. And so basically, collective bargaining, acting as a pressure group, these are the two major functions performed by trade unions. And when the syllabus was modified, something was added to this topic, which was a single union deal. We all need to know what the term single union deal means. But in order to understand this properly, we need to have an idea about the background. You see, traditionally, trade unions, there used to be two trade unions representing the workers and managers. There used to be a trade union representing the workers, they're also known as blue-collared workers, There used to be one trade union safeguarding the interests of the blue-collared workers, and there used to be another trade union that protected the rights of the white-collared workers. White-collared workers basically are the managers. Blue-collared workers, workers who are answerable to the white-collared workers, were the managers. So, it was observed that as a result of this arrangement, there was a lot of discrimination at the workplace. Obviously, the white-collared workers being represented by a particular trade union, that trade union proved to be more influential. It used to, dominate the scene as compared to the trade union that represented the blue-collared workers. So just to avoid or to eliminate this element of discrimination, a new concept has evolved in the last few years, and it is called a single union deal. So a single union deal simply suggests that there will be a single trade union, one trade union, that represents both the white-collared workers as well as the blue-collared ones, so that there's no discrimination, there's a high degree of uniformity. That is primarily the advantage associated with the single union deal concept. And when we use the word uniformity, we must bear in mind that uniformity, yes, in certain areas it is possible, but you can't say that uniformity doesn't mean that everyone should get the same salary also. Everyone can't draw the same salary, obviously. But there are certain areas, for example, the quality of food that is served, we can have some uniformity there. Or there are other issues like, parking space or, use of escalators, etc. Because all these issues, these were supposed to be addressed when this single union deal was being considered. So primarily a single union deal is a step in the direction of a high degree of uniformity. Everyone must be treated in a way which is fair and just, and any sort of discrimination that can be avoided, it should be avoided as a result of this. And also, as a result of this single union deal, the process of arbitration can be carried out smoothly. An arbitrator is a third neutral party that acts like a bridge between two parties whenever there's a stalemate, whenever there's a deadlock, whenever two parties, they're unable to resolve their issues themselves, they might have to rely on the services of a third neutral party. It could be anyone, it could be an individual, it could be an institution. So when there's a single union, then the process of arbitration becomes less complicated. Then you will have to negotiate with that one trade union only, rather than getting engaged in a communication process with a trade union that represents the white-collared workers separately and the one that represents the blue-collared workers separately. So as a result of this single union deal, not only are we able to do something about discrimination, but also we can ensure that the process of arbitration, if required, can be carried out in an uninterrupted way. All right? So that's trade unions for you. Allah Hafiz.